Very much.
If you look at the papers this morning, some of the papers, you see the story of the matter of the grid collapse. And one that particularly caught my attention is that on the front page of this Nigerian newspaper saying, grid collapse, sad story of greed and grief. System failed 99 times under Buhari, 8 times in the current administration. And I'm wondering if you could just speak to this matter of greed and grief. Is that what it is?
Well, before we jump to any conclusion on these issues, it's always good for us to consider where we are now, where we are coming from, and what the situation has been over the years. The issue of the national grid problem started more than 50 years ago. So it's not something that happened right from the time of the military. As you plan for electricity, one of the things that you have to consider is the population of the country. So you have to build your electricity provision in accordance with the growing population. And I'll give one example. Between 1989 and 1999, Nigeria had 4 leaders, 4 presidents, beginning from President Ibrahim Babangida after 1989, followed by Chief Ernest Shonekan, followed by General Sani Abacha, and then followed by General Absalam Abubakar. Those were 4 leaders within a 10-year period. In that 10-year period, Nigerian population grew, but within that 10-year period, not a single power plant was built in Nigeria. What you failed to do in 1989 will catch up with you by 2019 or 2029. So our failure as a nation started a long time ago. Yes, I'm aware that in the last 10 years there has been 105 grid collapse. The grid had collapsed 105 times in 10 years. That's true. Even the one that happened 2 days ago speak to the nature of our national grid, which, as this goes, we've been talking about this since 2015. And the point we've been making is the fact that the transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, which is 100% owned by the government, needs to renew their infrastructure, replace a lot of things. And quite sincerely, the MD CEO of TCN came out a few days ago to say, indeed, their equipments are out of date. When somebody says the equipments are out of date, you cannot even blame him as a person. He took office only when? A few years ago. So it is as a result of those failures over the years
successive government
that we have, yes, that we have what we have today. That is not to say that we cannot apportion blame. But instead of looking at blame, I think we should begin to look at solution. And that's why I think our regulator, NEC, has taken the right step now so that we can halt this because it is certain that the collapse will continue unless something is done. And one of the things that they have done, which I think is commendable, is that they've looked at, there are 3 departments, main departments in TCN, and they've looked at it. We have TSP, which is Transmission Service Provider. Those are the ones that maintain the cables and the towers.
All right.
We have the MO, which is the one that handles market rules, financial issues, market operator, they are called. But the very important one is called System Operator. The System Operator is the department that maintains and stabilizes the grid. We've been saying this for a long time. They need to unbundle TCN. They need to take out that System Operator away from that TCN. And that's exactly what they are doing. I'm aware of a meeting today. There's a public hearing coming up on Thursday. This thing is aimed at creating the Nigerian Independent System Operator. Once we have something like that, we are going towards a path that will lead us to having a better national grid. However, I said it in another forum that if you have a child that you cannot train properly, you cannot feed that child properly, you cannot even control your child, the child is just not doing well under you as a parent, give up that child for adoption. Let somebody else. Call it any name. It's either you privatize, or if you say, okay, for security reasons we cannot or we don't want to privatize, then concession. There are things you can do to enable the private sector, to enable foreign investors come in. And when people talk about foreign direct investment, part of the problem that we have is that no foreigner will come and invest in any country unless at least 3 things happen. Number one, we must all, as a nation, respect the sanctity of contract. That's number one. Number two, we must provide the enabling environment for such businessmen to thrive. Number three, and that's a link to the first and the second, every businessman that invests in any business wants to be able to recover their costs. So if you cannot recoup your investment, you will not have that, you will not be interested in investing anywhere and in anything. So those are the things that we need to do. And I think they've started taking that step, and it is a step in the right direction. And I'm sure that if they can follow it through and do the right thing and ensure that we are transparent in what we do, we'll get the right result. So that is what I see as there's a need for huge investment, huge. And it's not something that is small. And they've done some investment in the last few years. But people are talking, when people are talking about the great collapse under Buhari, blah, blah, it was the same under the same Buhari government that the cement deal came on board, and a lot of things were done. It is just that what has been done.
So it could have been worse if that didn't come in?
It would have been worse, yes. And that also continues under the current administration. But in Nigeria, we tend, especially the media, we tend to focus more on negativity. I'm sorry. While we are talking about what is negative, we should also give it to them where they've done something right. I only just mentioned our regulator now. If you ask me, it's not as if I will tell you that they're 100%, they do things the way we want it 100%. But where they do something commendable, let us commend them. That's the way I look at it as a person.
Balance is very important.
Yes.
Absolutely. So one wonders, all the investment that you have rightly pointed out, successive governments have invested a lot of monies into the electricity and the power sector and all of it, because Nigerians are asking questions. So where did all these monies go? If we are still talking about infrastructure deficit and all of it, where we cannot get effective and optimal service to customers at the end of the day. Where did all these monies go? When the sector was also privatized, we thought that, oh, all this matter of grid collapse and all of it, yes, we know that TCN is being handled by government, but a lot of Nigerians needed to felt that this whole matter would be a thing of the past. But you have mentioned something, transparency and doing the right thing. Is that also part of why we have found ourselves here, that perhaps the processes were not transparent enough and that we may not have been doing the right things?
I don't think the problem is to do with the fact that the processes were not transparent. I think the processes failed from day one because of the way we handle our thing in the country. I only just mentioned the issue of sanctity of contract, because when you sign a contract that you will do this, if you do this, I will do this. And then the private person came in and then he did what he is expected to do, and you as government failed to do what you are supposed to do. That's the beginning of failure. Okay? And when you do a business anywhere and there are no incentives, or the way we do our thing, generally as a country, I think a lot of things are wrong in Nigeria. And instead of just apportioning blame or you looking for someone to blame, because if you talk about the money that has been spent in the power sector, let's even say, beginning from when we started civilian administration, then you may have to call all the presidents to sit down and tell us what they have done and what they failed to do, and why they did it, and who did what. including the dead.
Accountability.
Unfortunately, you cannot call the dead. Those who are still alive. You need to sit them down and let each of them tell us, and you will begin to see that even when the government or the leader tries to do the right thing, what happens with the followers? Even when the followers try to do the right thing, what happened to we, Nigerians, the receivers, the end users, the customers? Because people are talking about the power sector. It is not a magical thing. The truth of the matter is that if I give you power and you keep on stealing the same power, then that means I cannot recover my cost. If I cannot recover my cost, that means I will begin to cut corner.